but in terms of the contact, no contact with him today.
About Alex and Russell. Let's just do all this.
Okay, Alex, has been doing some individual shooting, nothing contact-wise. Patrick's been able to script and do some things non-contact on the floor, and Russell was full go.
Okay. What do you think about Russell in terms of getting him back out for a game?
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing tomorrow is to see how he feels after today's practice. He'll meet with the medical staff. We get shoot around tomorrow at 10. Probably sit down and try to talk to him a little bit just to see where he's at, and then go from there. Like we've always done, the medical staff, myself and Russ, just sit down, talk, communicate, and probably find out more after shoot around.
So the day on Monday, you kind of knew the day before he wasn't going to play. Is it safe to say you don't know for sure whether he'll play tomorrow? Is it possible he could play tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, there's a possibility he could. There's a chance he couldn't.
Right.
I think a lot's going to depend on, one is if he does go, how many minutes he would be able to play, or it may be a situation where he says, you know what, I maybe need a little bit more time to rest. So it's kind of let him absorb what happened today and then get together tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Going from a team that just had PJ Tucker at center to DeMarcus Cousins and Anthony Davis, are you excited to see kind of how your team handles a very different challenge?
Yeah, I think that different styles of players is good, for us. We dealt with some obviously really small lines with Houston, and we'll deal with obviously some very, very big lineups with New Orleans. So I think, the two, schematically both teams are a lot different, which will be great just in terms of testing our defense and trying to continue to work on executing on offense.
Something that you mentioned after the game the other night, and Carmelo reiterated again today, was kind of a passivity in the offense. And I'm just wondering, how is that something that you can work on in practice in like a non-game setting?
Well, I think it's like I said, at the press conference before our first day of practice, like to expect like all of a sudden these guys to be a cohesive gelling unit is just going to take some time. And I think that we have those three guys are really, really unselfish, willing passers in terms of what I've seen the way they try to play. With that, there's times where you can overthink things. There's times where you're not reading and reacting and playing, and you're trying to figure out where should the ball be passed, where's it need to go, what do I need to do? And then you're also trying to say, okay, how do I as a player help my teammates incorporate everybody in there offensively? That's where a lot of times the uncertainty, passiveness, geez, I thought you were going to shoot it, he had it. And that stuff just got to work out just the more those guys play together. Like we played a lot today because of that. I wanted to play coming out of the Houston situation. And quite frankly, I only gave them a couple things really to run, and we kind of stuck with those things just because I wanted to work on just our execution, timing, and those things without overwhelming them, having to think about so many different things to do. But that stuff, like today, we went these segments where we worked on like 3 or 4 things and then switched to another 3 or 4 things and switched to another 3 or 4 things and just try to keep getting them to work playing with one another. But I mean, in terms of like the instinctiveness of wanting to move the ball and help each other, not only those 3 guys, but our team, they're all really, really trying to do that. But it's just something that's gonna take a little bit of time, because you get a lot of, I thought you.
Right. Is it something where I mean, obviously playing is probably the best way to go about it.
Yeah, I mean, you got to play a little bit, but
does film help too?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it is execution, how we're being guarded, what may happen in certain screening actions. In all reality, I mean, Raymond, as a veteran guy, played a good portion of minutes in that first half, and didn't play in the second half. Either did Carmelo. So. We were probably out of sorts a little bit. I was more encouraged defensively on the things that we've worked on because, playing against a team like Houston, it's like Golden State to a certain extent. They score more points in the deep paint than maybe anybody in the league outside of Golden State. And, they took, I think, 1 non-paint 2. But our defensive rating was really, really high because of our ability to protect the paint. Now, they made 14 threes off the dribble. I mean, that's really unprecedented, so you got to give them credit for that. But I thought our rim protection and the fact that we didn't put them to the free throw line were positives to build upon. Our closeouts to the 3-point line and getting them off the line, it was some areas we could have been better at. Same thing with our turnovers, our transition. So point being, we had 18 turnovers in the game that led to a lot of that fast break stuff, but some of it was Russell's not out there, just calling it like it is, and I'm not trying to put it all on him. But there's, Raymond's still learning. He's new, trying to figure out the guys. As a point guard, you're always trying to figure out ways to incorporate other guys. First time he's really played with Paul. He's played with Carmelo in New York, but he's learning the other guys. Daniel, we put back there to see what he can do, new for him. So there's a lot of things, but the playing part, long and short of it, is something that we're going to have to do.
Billy, Mike Krzyzewski was saying, like, when in the Olympics, you're playing with great players, but what he was saying was that Carmelo has a feel for how to play off great players, not just be with them, but a feel for how defenses adjust to those guys and what he needs to do. Is any of that a blueprint for what can work here with your three guys?
In terms of, like...
just him playing off other great players?
I think Carmelo's got a great feel of how to play, and he's encouraging to the group. And I get, like, I'm very sensitive to this because, like, when you're out here as a coach and you're working with the whole entire team, and I come over here and speak, everybody wants to make it just like it's like 3 versus 5 every night. You know what I mean? We got Andre, Patrick's hurt, Alex, but Jeremy, Grant. We need to keep developing our entire team. But I think for Carmelo, the reason I'm saying that is he's encouraging to Andre, encouraging to Jeremy, talking about different things, trying to help them. Carmelo's a really, really smart player, obviously an extremely experienced player, but like he's trying to do a lot of things to help the group. To your point, because I think Carmelo's the kind of guy that, because he's got good vision and he's probably an underrated passer, the Olympic maybe experience showcased him doing some of the things you're talking about, and I think he's trying to do that with our team as well.
Do you envision, as the season unfolds, maybe there being more latitude to let the guys kind of work it out themselves on the floor with the experience on this roster, and maybe in the past if they got in a bit of a bind, you call a specific play to get them out of it?
Yeah, I think right now trying to help them, from the bench, like I said, I didn't call a lot of stuff in the game against Houston because I thought there was things that we needed to kind of work through. I didn't want to overwhelm them just from what you just said about, them working and fixing things themselves. And, I think the fact that they're talking all the time, like after possessions or stoppage of play, they're doing a good job. And ultimately, they're going to resolve and fix all those things, in my opinion, as time goes on. It's just a matter, as long as the communication is really good in terms of guys expressing truthfully where they're fitting in, how they're fitting in, how, what they need from each other. That's what you want, and we have that right now. That part of it's been really, really good in terms of their communication.
Do you want to try to play the starting group a little more tomorrow night, or do you still want to stick with seeing a lot of the young guys?
We'll find out what the situation is with Russell, Alex, and Patrick. Just those guys didn't practice today, so they'll be out tomorrow. What happens with Russell if he is able to play minute-wise? If he's not playing, what do we do? Still want to talk to Carmelo and Raymond, being veteran guys, of where they feel they're at physically in terms of the conditioning versus maybe playing too much. And we'll kind of have to go from there. In terms of, I think it's important that we get some of our younger guys experience too, just to help our overall team.
When you're talking about ball movement, what does the optimal possession look like for you? Are there a particular amount of passes that go into a possession? Or does it change because you have guys that are so good with the ball and creating shots for themselves?
Yeah, I look at a couple things. One is shot contestedness. I look at what areas of the floor we're shooting the ball from. Is our offense generating corner threes? Is it generating deep paint shots? Are we getting to the free throw line? Are we getting open looks? And I think sometimes putting a pass count on, we want to do this, this, and this before we take a shot. We'd like to try to be aggressive early. There's going to be some times where Russell may come down the floor and may get into the deep thick of the paint, and they may come over and rotate, and it may be one pass to Paul George that's in the corner, and he's got to take that shot. And it's great offense. That's what you're looking at. The efficiency offensively is based on, what kind of shots you create. The deep paint, the free throw line, and the corner three are the three most valued shots in the league. And then obviously the number of non-corner threes are coming out. What's really gone out is, a lot of those 18, 19-foot jump shots. So you're trying to look at how will you how do you fit into those things? Now, I do think this: the better defensive teams that you play against, the more the ball needs to move to try to move their defense. But if there's a fast break, and Russell finds a guy like Paul George, or finds a Brennan on the break, and those guys are open, I want them taking it, even though it's one pass. I'm fine with that. Or, Russell comes over pick and roll, and he's playing him downhill and get to the front of the rim, and it's on one pass. Like, I'm okay with that. I think the biggest thing is when those things get shut off, and we're forced to have to make that extra pass, our ability to move and to find the next best available shot. That's, I think, kind of what I focus on, is like, what kind of shots are we generating, more so than how many passes are we making. And listen, there's certain possessions that require, hey, listen, we got to move the ball a little bit more in this possession, or hey, listen, we overpass, we need to take this shot. I think there's a balance there.
Anybody else?
What's the plan?
He's on overtime. He's yelling at overtime.
Yeah, that's good, Fred. Obviously, Fred. Everybody else is done except for you.
No, he's only kidding.
Well, I'm trying to get paid extra. That's all.
Okay.
I'm just wondering, what is the plan when Patrick is healthy for running out? I mean, I'm sure, knowing the tendencies, you're going to want to adjust to the opponent, but for running out a backup center.
Well, I think that we have a lot of different options, and I think some of that's going to be based on who we're playing against. So, for example, to the point we talked about earlier, PJ Tucker's playing the center spot. So the game's changed, and the game has just changed. I think from 10 years ago, if you look at the numbers, there's 50% more three-point shots taken. So you're dealing with, there's some conventional teams that are playing with a traditional power forward and center, and there's some teams that are playing with, 5 perimeter players. The game's just changed a little bit. So I think, having Steven and Dakari, who are 2 big, strong, physical guys there, which is great. I think the fact that Jeremy Grant and Patrick Patterson, have the ability to downsize or to move up a position to the center spot to play, I think is fine. I think there's different things that we can do defensively if there are mismatches, but you're not seeing as much in the NBA as guys shooting from the block, unless there's, unless they're really close, guys are getting to the front of the rim. But you can trap the post now. There's a lot of things we'll have to do. I mean, we really had a luxury the last couple of years of being able to allow Stephen to play one-on-one in the post, Ennis to play one-on-one in the post because of their size, even Domas play one-on-one in the post with their size. This may be a year we got to double team a little bit more. We got to get it out of there. We got a backside trap. There's some different things that we can do. The one thing I like about our team is even though we maybe don't have that traditional, maybe, this enormously tall, big team, I do think we have a very, very long team. We're long in positions, which I think is helpful.
With the way, like you mentioned, how the game becoming so much more perimeter-oriented affects that. Does the fact that teams are not nearly as aggressive as offensive rebounding as they were 10 years ago, is that affected too on the rebounding?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it could be a little bit misleading because the more threes you have up, the more longer rebounds you have. And because you have more longer rebounds, the offensive rebounding numbers are still a problem with certain teams. Like I always felt like Houston's a really good offensive rebounding team. Not that Nene or Capella's rebounding in front of the rim. Yeah, they do that sometimes. A lot of times, it's a guy like Beverly's so great at the ball, it's the front of the rim and out at the free throw line, and he sees it and picks it up and scoops it up. Or, Ariza kind of slashes in there, and they get a lot of long rebounds. So, the more threes that go up, the longer the rebounds are going to be. So really now I think the game's turned that you got to rebound collectively with 5 people.
Right. So it's more about quickness.
Yeah, or